Hello there friends, it's Ashley here from the Loopy Lamb and theloopylamb.com, and thanks so much for stopping by the channel. Today we're looking at this new book, Crochet Illusion Blankets, 15 Patterns for Optical Illusion Crochet Blankets, Afghans and Throws by Helen Smith. This is a collection of eye-catching crochet blankets, and we're going to be doing a deep dive review into what's included in the book, what skill levels are needed, what supports are included, and more. And thanks to the publisher, David and Charles Publishing, I have a copy of this book to give away to one lucky winner. So keep watching to find out more about this book and how you can enter to win a copy of the book for yourself. There are 15 crochet blanket patterns in this book that all use the crochet intarsia technique. Now, if you're already familiar with tapestry crochet, there is a difference. Now, intarsia crochet, you do not crochet over your colors to carry them with you. You actually create your own little yarn balls, separate yarn balls for each color. And for tapestry crochet, you do crochet over your yarns that you're not using to carry them with you. So that is the main difference between the two techniques if you are curious. Now you can see that we have the table of contents here, and you can find the pattern names here. And if you want to see a full list of all the pattern names, you can find that over on the written version of this review on my blog, theloopylamb.com, which I've linked in the description box below for you. Each pattern includes the written color change instructions and large color work charts so that you can either verify the instructions or clarify them or choose which set of instructions which works best for you. I found the patterns to be relatively straightforward, but they all lack the instruction for the maker to turn at the end of the row. This isn't necessarily a problem for experienced crocheters, but it may leave some beginners scratching their heads, especially if they skipped through this section here and went straight to the patterns and didn't bother with the resource section. The geometric blankets use simple stitches like half double crochet, so they could be accessible to a beginner who is capable of changing yarn colors, following instructions, and has patience with learning new techniques. The blankets come in a variety of sizes. Just the single size, however, is offered per blanket. So we've got this one here called Candy Stripes, and this blanket here is 48 inches by 35.5 inches. Now, all of the different sizes do vary, and the gauge is given so you can match the gauge for the pattern and the size, but you're only going to get ultimately one size out of each blanket in order to maintain the optical illusion. Now, if you wanted an easier way to make larger Afghans from these patterns, but wanted to maintain the optical illusion in these different designs, you could pair a larger hook size with a heavier weight yarn. That would be the easiest way to do that. All the patterns in this book use various shades of sheeps's, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, truly scrumptious Aran weight yarn, which is a 50% recycled polyester and 50% acrylic yarn. It's worsted weight yarn, so it's easily able to be substituted with other worsted weight yarns, and a 6.5 millimeter crochet hook is used as well. Now let's talk about the supports for makers. I touched on it a little bit at the beginning, but let's go through the support pages. Now, most of them are at the beginning of the book here, and they talk about how intarsia works, changing colors, and we see that we've got some swatches here talking to kind of illustrate the point that colors are important in terms of not just making your blanket look good, but maintaining the optical illusion. We're going to talk about changing colors. And one thing I did really like is that she talks about changing colors on the right side of the fabric and on the wrong side, because I know that that is something that does trip some folks up, because when you're working with the little yarn balls in intarsia, you are turning the work. So there are definitely some ways to hide the yarn tails that are included here. There's an area here about reading a pattern chart, and all of the patterns are written using the US terminology. There's only really one stitch used throughout the book, so there's no serious need for a conversion chart. However, they do note here on page 10 that the UK term for half double crochet is the half treble crochet. All other abbreviations are here at the bottom of page 10. But again, it's very minimal because the patterns use the same stitch all throughout the book. The author shares some tips here on page 11 for managing your yarns. And she does talk about here about winding your small yarn balls for your color work. And if you go to each of the patterns, let me find it here, they do talk about here how many yarn balls were wound and how much those yarn balls weighed. So I found that really helpful because especially for intarsia, it's handy to be capable of just winding all your yarn balls in the appropriate size that you need up front and then just start crocheting. You're not going to have to stop and start. However, the caveat with that is if you're not matching the gauge in the pattern, that's just a guideline. And if you're substituting yarns, one yarn may weigh lighter or heavier than the others. In the tools section, they don't actually touch upon the fact that you're going to need a yarn winder and a kitchen scale in order to do that step. So I found that was missing, but you can hand wind your yarn balls, which I would have loved to see that included in here. If you are going to need to make these little yarn balls, that the instructions to do that and or how to make a yarn cake and measuring your yarns. Now we talk about here on page 12, the right side versus the wrong side of the fabric and picking up and fastening off your yarn here on page 13. Then there's some methods here on 14 and 15 on how to weave in ends. It's essentially the same technique from the looks of it, but done in different areas on your blanket. So if you really need that level of clarification, it's included here. And then in the back of the yarn here, back of the book here, we have the general technique section. Again, because there's only been really one stitch that's used, the half double crochet, this section is incredibly brief. We've got some step-by-step illustrations here on our right on page 123. And then how to finish off your blankets. And then there's some finishing techniques like adding a border, tassels, and pom-poms, which I didn't actually see added to any of the blankets, which I would have loved to actually see these utilized somewhere other than here in just this little image. And then, of course, in the back here, we have an About the Author section. Now, I really thought this was a fun and unique idea. And if you're looking for a collection of really bold and unique looking crochet blankets, then this is a great book to add to your library. And I really do think that these are eye-catching. You're not going to find a whole lot of these out there anywhere. So if you want something unique, this is a great book. And I'd recommend it for experienced crocheters that are looking for bold, modern blanket designs that don't need them to be in various sizes. If you're have your heart set on making this blanket on the cover in 10 different sizes, that's not going to be a possibility unless you know how to adjust the charts and do all the work included in doing that. But it's a great blanket book otherwise. And I think it enables folks to try a new technique in a fun and easy way. So if you're interested in entering to win a copy of this book, I'm hosting a giveaway over on my blog, theloopylamb.com. And to enter, you're going to have to head on over to the written version of this review, which I've linked in the description box below. And when you check out the review, if you scroll to the bottom, you will find the giveaway entry form. And there you'll also find all of the entry rules as well. So that's it for today. I hope that you enjoyed this review and you found it helpful. If you did, please hit that like button and please consider subscribing to this channel. If you like free crochet patterns, please check out my blog, theloopylamb.com, where I've got over 200 free crochet patterns and step-by-step video tutorials. If you have any experience using this book that you'd like to share with our community, we would love to hear your experience. Please share it in the comment section below so that way we can all learn from everyone's experience with this book. And of course, if you have questions, let me know as well. Thank you so much for watching, friends. Happy hooking, and I'll see you next time.